Democrats just nuked the $15 minimum wage that Joe Biden had promised to all of his supporters. Whoops, I guess that got blown to smithereens. Speaking of, you know what else got blown to smithereens? Syria. Biden has recently struck Syria. Lots of missiles, lots of explosions. America is back, baby. I really feel sorry for the Syrian children who have suffered under America's attacks. But I guess this is what Biden supporters wanted all along. Hello everyone, this is Mr. Obvious, and today on the internet, we're here on NBC, and we're going to be going over today's news. So, the minimum wage was recently tossed out by the Senate, saying that the Democrats simply can't shove in their $15 minimum wage in their COVID relief bill. This is kind of good news, and it's kind of bad news. It's bad news for all Biden supporters who thought they were gonna get money. But it's also good news because a $15 minimum wage would not actually work. Now I know, companies can afford to pay people more. I'm talking about rich corporations. They have more than enough money to pay people $15 an hour. You know who doesn't though? Small businesses and anybody who does not live in the city. If you live in the big city, maybe a $15 minimum wage makes sense. The city's really expensive and the city has a lot of money. Unfortunately, most of America is not a city. In fact, I think that cities are completely and utterly overrated and dirty. If somebody lives in a suburb or a small town, they may not simply have the money. Small businesses cannot afford to pay their employees $15 an hour in many cases. Here on NBC News, it says, a ruling in the Senate on Thursday dealt a severe blow to Democrats' hopes of raising the minimum wage in the COVID-19 relief package, probably dooming the proposal in legislation that is headed for a vote in Congress. The parliamentarian, the in-house referee, ruled that the provision was not compliant with the rules of governing the budget process that Congress is using to pass the bill with simple majorities. Oh, they care about rules all of a sudden. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer said, "We are deeply disappointed in this decision. We are not going to give up the fight to raise the minimum wage to $15 and help millions of struggling Americans, workers, and their families. The American people deserve it, and we are committed to making it a reality." You know what? I will say this about the Democrats. They've totally stabbed their own supporters in the back. They promised people $2,000. Never came. We probably still will get stimulus checks, but yeah. As you can imagine, many left-wingers are very upset. Here on Twitter with Robert Reich. Why did we all bust our asses getting Democrats elected to the presidency, in control of both houses of Congress, if they can't even do a simple thing like raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour? Maybe because they played you? Ah, yes. You see, a lot of Democrats and Biden supporters have been completely bamboozled. You're not getting $15 an hour. You never were. Did you know that this year, or the past year, 2020, we printed 80% of the money supply? 80% of the money supply. We nearly doubled the money supply.
Haha. Money printer go brrr.
How do I put this? The reason that gold, for example, is rare and has value is because it is scarce, or at least limited in quantity. The more you have of something, the less valuable it is. If you print money, it becomes worthless. It's called inflation. And no, I'm not talking about the deviant art inflation. Thank God. In other news, President Biden is lifting a Trump-era ban blocking legal immigration to the US. In other words, when over 1.7 million Americans are currently unemployed and desperately need a job to feed their families, pay their bills, and not end up homeless, good old Joe Biden has decided to let foreigners come to America and steal all the jobs. Oh yes, I know what many of those left-wingers are thinking. Those dumb conservatives. They're just so mean. Steal your jobs. I saw that South Park episode. It was so funny. It made fun of those conservatives. Yeah, well, you know what? A lot of the people who lost their jobs were Democrats. A lot of the people who lost their jobs were Biden voters. Yeah, good luck when you don't have a job because a foreigner got the job. Then maybe you'll realize that it's not a meme. It's not some sort of a, like right-wing fallacy. It is logic, okay? Basic economics. There are only so many jobs to go around. If you give that job to someone else, you can't have that job. Good luck. You're gonna need it. President Joe Biden has lifted a freeze on green cards issued by his predecessor. They can't even name the big bad orange man. President Donald Trump. Say his name. During the pandemic, that lawyers said was blocking most legal immigration of the United States. Former President Donald Trump. You know, it really pisses me off, former president. Nobody says former president. They don't say former President Bill Clinton. They say President Clinton. So say it. President Donald Trump last spring halted the issuance of green cards until the end of 2020 in the name of protecting the coronavirus-racked job market. And now it's over. Kind of looks like it would have been over anyway. Oh, it was extended until March, and Biden got rid of it. So, congratulations. Many more immigrants will come to this country, get your job for lower pay, and then you can go work at McDonald's or something flipping burgers. I'd rather be a garbage man, personally.
That's my character. I'm the trash man.
Now in a new political poll, here it says, Nult. Poll shows that Republicans care about the issues. Democrats just hate Republicans. A Echelon Insights poll shows that the Republican priorities surround the big issues of the day, while Democrat concerns are focused almost solely on hating Republicans. So they did a sample of 1,000 registered voters, and it says top issues for Republicans are illegal immigration, lack of support for police, high taxes, left-wing media bias, the moral decline of the country, socialism, Antifa, China, mentions abortion, election integrity, tech censorship, and discrimination. Now here are the concerns of Democrats. Trump supporters, white nationalism, Caucasian nationalism, systemic racism, gun violence, healthcare coverage, terror, police brutality, discrimination against the alphabet, feminism, voter suppression, student debt, and capitalism. In other words, the number one concern for all Democrats are Trump supporters.
Every person is afraid of that hat. I'm afraid of that hat. Keep America great. For so many people, that's racism.
We're in a really dangerous place in this country. Democrats have become blinded by ignorance and propaganda. They truly despise the other side. And you cannot have a country in that way when there's so much animosity between two groups. Now, our last story of the day is on CNN. U.S. carries out airstrikes in Syria, targeting Iranian-backed militias. Now, the official story behind this attack seems to be a retaliatory strike because Syria keeps attacking our bases. We told them to stop, they wouldn't stop, so now we're dropping the hammer. Unfortunately, there will probably be very many casualties, most notably in this case, Syrian children who have been killed before in previous bombings. The U.S. military on Thursday struck a site in Syria used by two Iranian-backed militia groups in response to rockets launched at American forces. Up to a handful of militants were killed in the strike, a U.S. official told CNN. Pentagon spokesman John Kirby said the strikes took place at President Biden's direction and were authorized not just to respond to the recent attacks against American and coalition forces, but also to deal with ongoing threats to those personnel. And yeah, Biden himself called to make this strike. He's bombing the country, and you know what? Biden supporters are so surprised. Democrats, they're so shocked that it only took him, a couple months to start dropping bombs? Everybody warned the Democrats and Biden supporters. Biden is not a nice man. He's certainly not a good man, in my opinion. He's a warmonger. He's corrupt. And of course he's gonna bomb Syria. What did you expect? They never learn. But that, my friends, is merely the obvious. Well, that's all for now, folks. What do you think about this story? Let me know down below in the comments section. As always, you can support the channel by joining me on Patreon and Subscribestar. And guess what? From now on, we're gonna have exclusive content just for you. Spicy content that I cannot release on YouTube is now going to be available off-platform. No longer on YouTube. Hot takes, spicy takes. If you want the good stuff, join me on Patreon or Subscribestar. You can also subscribe on BitChute. Anyhow, thanks for watching. This has been Mr. Obvious, and I'll see you all next time.